Welcome to today's webinar on Impactful Volunteering 101. I'm Zafi, your host for this session. And I'm thrilled to see all of you here taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. So tonight, we will be meeting and discussing with our incredible panelists from Charisma Movement. So this session will last approximately 2 hours, and we encourage all of you to stay till the end of the session to fully benefit from it. So before we dive into the discussion, I'm thrilled to introduce our panelists who each bring incredible experience and perspective. First, we have Aizat Hazli. Aizat Hazli is the current president of Charisma Movement. Say hello to Aizat. So, his journey with Charisma Movement began 3 years ago at the age of 17. Next, we have Sarah, Sarah Castilla. Sarah Castilla is the incoming co-president of the Charisma Movement and is currently pursuing A level studies at Harvard International School. And next, we have Tirtana Kartigesu. She is the incoming co-president of the Charisma Movement and aspiring psychology student with focus on mental health awareness, social responsibility, and environmental impact. So without further ado, first I will invite Aizat to share a little bit about Charisma Movement.
I hope you can hear me clearly. Thank you so much, Zafir. Again, thank you for inviting Charisma Movement as well. The rest of us, the rest of you guys as well, thank you for spending your time tonight if you're in Malaysia, doing whatever busy schedule that you have to listen to us yet. So thank you so much for that. So I'll be speaking more on the introduction of Charisma, and Sarah and Tirtana will be focusing more on the future project that we have for Charisma Movement as well. But before that, I'm Aizat. I'm the current president for Charisma 23-24/24 term, and will be taken over by Tirthan and Sarah for the upcoming term. Okay, I hope you guys have had your lunch, dinner, or breakfast already. Okay, let's start. Let me just quickly share my screen. I hope you can see. All right. So welcome to Charisma Movement. So I think this is just a quick general introduction of what we have in CM. We call Charisma Movement as CM. So I'm going to be shortening the term as CM from now onwards. So Charisma Movement is a non-for-profit youth-led organization. It used to be student-led organization where our committee as well as our volunteers are all consisted of just students. But starting from a few years ago, we expanded our demographics to youth. So technically we have young adults as our committee members as well, especially leading our research and advocacy department at the moment for Charisma Movement. And we started way back in 2010. So we started with UKEC. So UKEC is United Kingdom Air Council. Charisma Movement is the branch under UKEC, and we call it UKE Charisma. So it is one of the initiatives that UKEC developed under the UKE Cares. And in 2012 onwards, our founder actually started the project called Project Inspire Teringai. So Project Inspire Teringai, now known as the Project Anak Malaysia. So Project Anak Malaysia, or PAM, is our flagship initiative, focuses on underprivileged communities in Sabah. And it is supported by Rotary Club Kota Kinabalu. So RCKK has been our partners and sponsors over the years until this year. And starting from there onwards as well, we started to expand our project to different areas, not just education. We have health with the Spastic Children's Association. We have environment as well, which is our another flagship event. We call it the Wildlife Conservation Project, or WCP. It started with Project Penyu in 2016, where we focus on turtle conservation. And starting from there onwards, we became independent. We become independent. So UKE Charisma is now known as Charisma Movement. And we started to publish books like Malaysia Rainy Days, our first and second edition, third edition as well for CM. And right now we are an official organization under ROS, and our committee has now expanded up to 100 committee members, organizing the whole fundraising, marketing, project management, everything. Okay. And this is our core values. So what we propose, like what we hope to have is to have, like, number one, in terms of spreading volunteerism. So when we say spreading volunteerism, it's more about making sure that our projects are impactful. The title of this webinar is Impactful Volunteering. So I'd like to share more about how do you actually start a project and how do we ensure that our project actually, benefits the community that we serve. Youth empowerment is more about empowering the youth community we have in Malaysia. So CM, our demographic is focusing more towards youth in Malaysia. So we hope to engage with, more youth, Malaysian youth, and ensure that they can kickstart or like start their volunteering passion with charisma movement as well. And last one is compassion to action, where the ideas that we have in CM is turned into reality. So we have our Inspire initiative, where the project is all about turning the passion to action, turning the compassion to action as well. So if you're interested to submit a project proposal to us, have a call with us, just email us at any point in time, and we can just, hopefully and eventually realize your project proposal as well. And this is just a very brief general ideas of what we do in CM. So we have three flagships. First is Project Anak Malaysia. It has been ongoing since the last decade. So PAM is our under the education department, and it focuses on, again, underprivileged community in Sabah. So every single year, in July and August, we go to Sabah for 2 weeks. We recruit about 40 to 50 volunteers. They'll be spending their time in 2 weeks in Sabah, Kota Marudu, in 3 schools. And they'll be motivating the students, inspiring the primary school students there, specifically in SK Turingai, Tuwanda, and Samparidam. And we have a lot of components in Project Anak Malaysia as well. We not just focus on educating, inspiring, we focus on health education. We have sex education as well, technology, spanning across multiple aspects of education in Project Anak Malaysia. So wildlife conservation is our aspect of environmentalism in Charisma. So we go to, like last 2 years, we went to Pulau Perhentian. We focus more on the turtle conservation and coral conservation. But starting from 2023 onwards, we started to focus on the main thing is the turtle and mangrove conservations. And mangrove is extremely important. It's like a unique tree. We feel like it's really interesting for us to explore more about mangroves and turtle conservation as well. So what we do is that we recruit about 20 volunteers every year, and we send them and they'll be spending about 1 to 2 weeks there to focus more on environmentalism, especially in terms of mangrove and turtle conservation. Inspire Initiative is the unique idea that makes Charisma Movement unique. So Inspire Initiative is basically like having the submission for other people to submit a proposal, and Charisma Movement will be providing them with assistance in terms of funding, manpower, marketing platform for them to start their project and make it bigger. So once the project is, kickstarted with CM, then they can just go forward with an even bigger mission. We have one academy led by our PR director, Adiba. Adiba, if you're here, PR director has established the academy called Campus Ambassadors, Sea Movers. It's an academy where we engage university students to, for example, focus more on SDGs in Malaysia as well. So they are empowered to, hold their event sessions, for example, collaborate with other organizations as well. So, and excuse me, this is other initiatives that we have. So we have beach cleanup by environment, publications, MRDs, Malaysia Rainy Days, CM Connects, coffee chat session with TFM, for example. A Young Wordsmith competition is a competition where we work closely with communities in Sabah, schools in Sabah as well, where students get to join competitions, essay competition, and win prizes. Summer retreat is our internal committee event, research and advocacy, cultural trip, advocacy trip, and teaching and study trips as well. And yep, I think this is just a quick video that you can go through our YouTube as well if you'd like to know more about Project Anak Malaysia, for example. And again, this is another quick video about our flagship event, Wildlife Conservation Project. And over the years, CM has developed 1.1 thousand youth volunteers, and we are aiming to expand our network to even larger audience, which Sarah and Tirtana will be focusing more towards in this panel session. And we have Alhamdulillah accelerated our stakeholders as well in CM and mobilized about 3,000 total alumni, stakeholders, students, volunteers and communities in Malaysia. So yeah, I think this is just a brief introduction of CM. Maybe I'll pass it over to Zafir.
Yeah, okay, thank you for the introduction on Charisma Movement. So you guys can check out on their website, their social media for more info, or you can contact them directly. Yeah. Okay, so we will have a few rounds for this session. So for the first round, we will like to know about each of you panelists, your personal journey in volunteering. So yeah, maybe I will start with Sarah. Okay, how has CM contribute to your personal growth and yeah, enable you to pursue bigger opportunities?
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, so my story on how I got started with volunteerism started when I was really young. So basically, I started a slime business because that used to be my passion. And people started becoming really interested in purchasing it because at that time, it was like a huge trend. So I decided to like use the money I made and coordinate it with two other friends to basically like go around selling things in school and outside of school so we could it was outside of school. And then we could basically raise money and donate to a children's orphanage and also an animal shelter. So I believe we raised up to 1,000, which at that time I thought it was really good because we were quite young. And then since then, I basically started helping out whenever. So I asked my mom to like send me to places where I could kind of like see the impact that my actions could create. So basically I like went over like helped in like charity sales and even like I find it really fun to like hold different like stalls to donate to like help local charities and also libraries, in fact. So as I grew older, basically, I joined this like conference program lah, where I realized that I really like mentoring and helping children. And this actually allowed me to understand what was the main group of people that I really wanted to impact. So I often went to like visit orphanages and then I would basically just kind of like play with them and talk to them. And recently I went to this orphanage and we got all the kids there to actually draw their dreams and who they wanted to be in the future. And I thought that it was really inspiring because even children as young as like 5, some of them said they wanted to be a doctor, they wanted to be a fashion designer. And to me, that was just really like, wow, like you're so young and you really have such like big dreams. And that's why I really like enjoy going to like orphanages and stuff. And so like eventually my journey went on to Teach for Malaysia, where I volunteered as a like tutor for maths. And so like there was this story because basically at that time I was like underage because you're supposed to be 18 and above to volunteer, but I'm still 17. So I actually emailed them and asked them if they would allow me to like try out and like help out tutoring. And luckily they said yes. So like with all of this, I actually realized like how much love and admiration I had for the values and acts of volunteerism, knowing that my actions could actually help impact others' lives. And so then every time I saw a child smile, I could feel like my heart like melting. And so that's basically what led me to joining CM because especially since I had a passion in joining a lot of different like organizations, I met a lot of incredible people who also had a connection to charisma movement. So currently like I'm in AMU and also Asia is also in AMU as like well right now. And so like I met a lot of different people with a lot of like passion to helping others. And this is basically where like I found out about CM and therefore I decided to like start with CM. And yeah, I think like something that I really like about CM is how it doesn't just like approach one target group. Like we help out like wildlife, we have children, and there's so many different things that CM does that I think really does make an impact no matter how small or how big it is. So that's basically how my story of volunteerism started. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So yeah, the same question for Tirtana. Your personal journey and experience goes with charisma or
Right.
volunteerism. Yeah.
All right. So my volunteerism, I think I started it quite in my high school. Actually, my family does charity every year, so I think I kind of had the passion since the beginning. But I started it in my high school where I used to go to refugee places to teach the kids there maths and English, simple maths and English, and I think that's where it started. It's just very overwhelming to me to see the way they are living and the things they are going through, while we are very much we should be happy with our lives, right? So it was very overwhelming to see them struggle and stuff. And then I started wondering what I can do to them. And that's how when I went to college, I joined more volunteering club under Sunway Student Volunteers. I was in that volunteering club, and I met a lot of people who really was passionate about volunteering and stuff. And then I had a friend there, and then I got to know CM from there, from that friend. And I joined last year, 2023, as the Assistant Inspire Initiative Director first in CM. And I think CM, it's just so I would say it's a very good place for you to network and to get to know each other, because I also joined a lot of other organizations like ICMS, for example, and there I also got to know that Isa was there. Isa is everywhere, to be honest. But yeah, and it's so nice to see ICMS more focused on personal development and corporate world, and then CM is a lot more about giving back to the community. But you can see both these people have something in common. They know each other. They are passionate about doing something for the people around them. And I think that's the best thing about volunteering. And I think that's what drives me to do more and more. And that also what allowed me to to become co-president for the upcoming year, I would say. And for CM as a general, I think my goal personally is just for CM to be well known more and more. I think CM deserves to be known more. The things that we do, the things that we could possibly do as well. I think we have done like most of our initiatives, most of our projects are something that's long term. We actually can do things that sustain and help people in long term. And I think that's something commendable, because we know a lot of NGOs, even outside here, we know a lot of projects that's going on, but I think ours is unique in a way that is very long term. So I want CM to sustain more of the projects like that and come up with more initiatives that we could sustain and make it long term. And I think it's also a selfish thing for me to join CM, because it helps me network, and also helps me with my personal development as well, I would say. I think that's another thing I wanted to start volunteering, because not just CV, not just to add into my CV. I like looking at like meeting new people, and just meeting people that are passionate about volunteering just amazes me. Especially in this world, there are still people who wants to do good. There are still people who likes to give back to the community. And I think that's just the greatest thing that I got to see by joining CM. And all the people I've met in CM are also so. And Sarah, to be working with Sarah this year, I think I will be very, very happy. And yeah, looking forward to working with her for the next year. And yeah, that's pretty much what I want CM to be. I just want it to be known and celebrated. I would also say I want CM to be celebrated as well in the near future. So yeah, I think I hope I just briefly talked about my journey and what I have for CM. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Titana. So, okay, next, Isaac. Yeah, can you share your experience with
Yeah,
us?
sure. Okay. I would say that I started volunteering when I was 17, and it started off with me wanting, because okay, just a bit of history. I grew up a little bit in the States, but then I came back to Kelantan because my family resides in Kelantan. And technically, the difference between education landscape compared to when I was in the States and when I'm in Kelantan is definitely different. And you know, the situation when I was in primary school was that majority, or like many of the students who are in primary school, they choose not to continue their higher education, because not because they don't want to, but they don't have a choice. They have to support their family, and them having to, you know, gain money, earn money is a lot more important than them spending money on education. And that really sparked my interest to help the community out. I just feel like at that point in time I was 12 and I couldn't really do anything about it. But when I was 16, 17, I started to talk to my friends and have like a more of an initiative where we help those communities who are not that privileged in terms of getting extra tuition tutoring as well, extra books, or access to this sort of thing, more towards scholarships and everything. And that's when I started to gather all of my friends who are scholars, for example, who have already had like a couple of achievements, and how can we actually help and contribute to the community and all that. So when I was like 16, 17, we gathered like an initiative called Scholar.Malaysia, where we have like a tutorship program for them. We held like a, what do you call it, like a scholarship sharing session with schools in Kelantan as well. So that's where it started. And at first it really felt like, oh, you know what, this is not really fruitful at the end of the day. Like we cannot really see the impact of it because it's long term. But over the years, when we started to actually collect the data, that's why data collection is really important. Like collect the data, surveys and everything. And then we realized that, you know what, like few of the students actually got the scholarship and right now are in the UK studying or, you know, pursuing their higher education with the access or like with the support from the government, for example. And that is extremely gratifying. And that is something that I would want to do for the rest of my life. And I just feel like at this point in time, I am still really new to volunteering and I needed to learn more about it. So that's when I applied to CM as the education officer initially. But then 3 years ago, I was offered the education director and I led the project Anak Malaysia in 2022. So at that time as well, I was doing my A levels. I was it ES or E2? I forgot, but it was like a very hectic schedule, very hectic busy period as well. But the trade-offs, what you're trying to mention, like I mean, I started doing this because I wanted to contribute and I wanted to pay forward. But at the end of the day, you know, like you spending time framing the project, you spending time talking to teachers, like you spend time developing the modules, definitely there will be trade-offs after that. And me getting into U Chicago, even Oxford final stage is, I would say it's all because of career development. And that's, I feel like, is such a gratifying feeling as well, where I feel like career development has shaped me not just in this scene, but also me myself as an individual too, and my professional journey as well. And I feel like a lot of people can actually relate to that. And I want people like community or like, you know, our community to also relate to that. And leading Project Anak Malaysia is also something that is extremely gratifying in the sense that we taught autistic kids in Sabah, and within just 2 weeks, for example, one of my mentees, right, could actually learn to write and read when we came there. You know, couldn't even recognize the words, right, the phonemes of each of the word. But within just 1 and 2 weeks, the dedication of the volunteers, who are like very dedicated, motivated as well to teach the students, within just 1 or 2 weeks, they could actually learn how to read very fluently. So that's the kind of impact that we do in Project Anak Malaysia and through Career Movement Initiative as well. And that's the continuous impact that I would like to carry forward with Career Movement. And that's the reason why I stay as a committee for the past 3 years. I was the education director and I moved up as the vice president, and currently the president as well, where I'm handing it over to Sarah and Tirtana. So I think that's the brief journey. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Isaac. So yeah, Sarah, you have okay.
Sorry,
Uh,
the
so-
internet connection. There's like issues with my device.
Okay. I thought you okay. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, I'm really amazed with all of you because yeah, you start at a young age. Yeah, I'm amazed for that. I hope your stories can inspire more young people or old people like me to yeah became a and benefit other people and our community. Okay, so we go to the next round. We want to see how or what makes effective volunteerism. So for this round, I need ask you all, what does effective volunteerism looks like, and how does CM embody it? Yeah, in your experience, how CM implement the effective volunteerism in their members in their project? Yeah, can we start with
All right. First of all, I think volunteerism is, I think many people think it's just going around and just helping or just volunteering just to get the volunteering hours or anything like that, right? But volunteering is more than that. I would say volunteering, especially when it comes to effectively volunteering, is like for me personally, it's you staying until the end of the project or end of the event to see through the impact of the event. That's the first step, I would say. The next step comes up as how to sustain the project and all the other things. But the first step itself is you, when you want an organization or even one event, right? You stay until the end to see the impact, or you understand what you're volunteering for and you understand what we are actually doing. So one example can be PAM, right? Like let's say there are volunteers in PAM and they need to do their fundraising, they need to go to Sabah to teach the children there. And to that, starting from the fundraising to the end, the CM volunteers are involved and they are also taught about the work that we do. They are taught why we are doing this, why we are doing Project Ana Malaysia, what's the impact of it. And when they're doing fundraising, right, they understand the impact of it. They creating awareness about our project and also letting other people know what we are actually doing. And from there, we move on to actually going to the actual event day week and teaching the kids there, looking at the kids smile. And I think it just gives you a lot of content to just stay until the end of the event to see everything that's happening. And I would say that's like the most effective way that you can, as an individual volunteer. But let's say in CM especially, I think CM, one example I mentioned was PAM, but another one is that we do it yearly. We make sure that our projects sustain. Even when it comes to Inspire Initiative, which is a department where we ask our youth to come up with ideas and we interview them and take up ideas and use CM's resources to actually make that ideas come alive. But even there, when we find the project or idea that we think will impact people and we think will be able to sustain longer, then CM does take in that idea or project as its own department or as its own project and makes it runs it every single year or whenever the project timeline is. But CM makes sure that we help sustain the program and we help to make it run long term. And I think that's the best example I could give about what CM does to have do effective volunteering. Another thing is also our journalism department. I would say our journalism department does a lot of interviewing. They go on ground and interview people about what they think about volunteering, about what they think about certain issues that's happening in Malaysia. And that's also another way that people can effectively volunteer also, I would say. It creates awareness. It lets people know that these issues are happening. It lets people know that these issues can be tackled by this, or these issues are causing these many problems in our country, in our communities. And creating awareness also is another effective volunteerism, I would say. So all in all, I think CM is, I mean, this might be like promoting CM, but it's like really doing one of, I would say from the organizations I've been in, CM is one of the best ones I've been in, and that's the way CM is, right? It helps people understand what volunteering is, I would say, because before joining CM, for me, volunteering is just going to volunteering events and helping out there. And after joining CM, I'm like, you can see the project start to end, and that just gives you a lot more happiness, and also happiness in seeing others getting more and more happy from the impact of the project. So yeah, that's what I would say is one of the way you can make your volunteerism effective.
Okay, thank you, Tetana. So yeah, it's your role to promote CM in everywhere you go. So yeah, it's nice. Next, can we have Sarah? So yeah, Sarah, can you give us the insight into how to manage stakeholder? Yeah, because also stakeholder is important in terms of effective volunteering.
Right. To clarify, stakeholders as in the people like affected, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So, wait, do you want me to answer your question about like what effective volunteering
Yeah,
is?
yeah. You can start that first, and then
All right, yeah. I think that for me, effective volunteering is about really having an impact, not on, it doesn't have to be on a lot of people's lives at first, but, or, pets or anything, but it just has to at least impact one person. So, in my opinion, I think that long-term volunteering is something that really creates a huge impact. So like Tirtana already mentioned earlier, because CM has this thing where we continuously do, example, like PAM goes on every year, like WCP Inspire Initiative, it really does have a impact where it's not, like she said, like the awareness of our project itself already like tells people like, oh, there's a lot of people that care about like helping this like group of people or something like that. And I think that that's something that's really nice. And for me, like example, something that I thought was really inspiring and very impactful is when you, example, okay, you go to an orphanage and you keep going to the orphanage. So you actually tend to connect with the children there and you really get to know them. And when you, example, like show them, you know, this is what you could have in a future or something like that, then that's when it really gives them that spark, that fascination of, you know, what they could be in the future. And I think that's something that to me was really effective. And yeah, so like in my opinion, every initiative you lead will have some kind of like impact on the community. But then I think it's also about like stakeholder management, right? In terms of that, I think it's like connecting with them and understanding like their own perspective of things. So for me, when I taught like a lot of different like children maths, I actually tend to ask them more about their lives and not just trying to, you know, because like sometimes volunteering is when you go there and you just do that job. But for me, it's more about like going there and actually like getting to know them and really like seeing, you know, what their lives are. And when you actually tend to connect with them a lot, I feel like that's how you have really good like stakeholder management. And of course, like in an organization, something that's really important as well is being able to actually kind of like get to know your people that you're working with. And so for me, I think it's more about, you know, communicating with them and really seeing how their visions and missions align with yours and how you can really work together to create a really big event or an impactful thing that could help someone or something. So yeah, that's what I think of it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, next, Isaac. Yeah. What's effective volunteerism means to you and how does CM embody this?
Honestly, Sarah and Dirtana captured the whole concept really well. I think I just like to build up a little bit more in terms of Sarah's point just now, in terms of getting to know the people. I think what we practice in CM is to always assess needs before we do action. And when we say assess needs is that when it comes to volunteering, it's all about us helping them, and it's not just like them expecting us to do whatever that we feel right, but it's always about us asking them, what do you want us to do, like what do you need? Then only we come, you know, to your community and assess them and see what we can do best in terms of our capacity. So that's basically what CM is. So I think in CM we always practice, like we always believe that impactful activities like volunteering starts with understanding the specific needs of the community. For example, Project Anak Malaysia, it started with data collection, surveying what they need first before we actually do our project, because we need to engage with them, we need to listen to the challenges. And basically we need to sort of like co-create the solutions that they can sustain. Because if we just do our projects in their pace and they cannot even sustain them, then I feel like what's the, you know, mission, or like what's the what do you call it, like a objective behind this activity at all, right? So I feel like in Project Anak Malaysia as well, what we aim is for community to have the drive and force for them to sustain it on their own as well. So that's why we call like a, you know, focus more on sustainability. So I feel like in CM, for as long as we have like a lasting impact, then you know that is like an impactful volunteering activities already. So for example, like in CM, our work or like our project ideas as well, we ensured that, for example, schools in Project Anak Malaysia had resources to continue our like technological education, for example, independently. So that's how we co-create, and that's how we co-create the module as well. And the same thing as wildlife conservation, the same thing as Inspire Initiative and our research and advocacy department as well. So getting to assess and get to know the culture, get to know the people first is extremely important, I feel like, in terms of volunteering. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Isaac. Okay, so we have finished the second round. So I hope the audience or the attendees can prepare your question because after round 3, we will have a Q&A question and you can ask the panelists what's your question. Yeah. So, okay, next, I will ask about the CM impacts and the future plan. So for this question, I will ask Isaac first. So yeah, can you share CM achievement, because you have been since 2000, your age is 17 and you see the growth of CM until now. So yeah, please.
Yes. Yeah, I've been in CM since I was 17, and that was 3 to 4 years back. Or is it 4 years already? Yeah, 3 to 4 years back. And I think when it comes to tangible impact, if I were to talk about my own personal experience, I could say that for Project Anak Malaysia or wildlife conservation projects specifically, we have Project Anak Malaysia, for example, like I said just now, I tutored one of the group of students who are autistic, and we get to sort of like see the growth within just 2 weeks. But the things that we do in Project Anak Malaysia and both wildlife conservation as well is the data collection framework. So data collection is us having our own development team in our flagship project, and we collect the data and we improvise it for the next few terms. So for example, in our project execution, we ensure that our modules are, in the past, we created the modules on our own, but in the very recent years, in the very recent terms, we make sure that we went through them with, for example, Teach from Malaysia. We have WWF as well. In a way, like co-creating our modules together with us for environmental module. And we see the impact in the execution part where the knowledge transfer from volunteers to students are even more effective in that sense. And when you say knowledge transfer, it's more about them understanding the current trends for environment, for example, and how they can actually practice and apply it even more practically in their real life situation. So that's basically what we have observed in our execution period. And if I were to talk about the growth that CM has achieved, when I first joined CM, the committee members, we had about 30 committee members, and with just 30 with the number of 30 people in the community members, the project execution as well as the planning couldn't go as expensively. So when I say expensively, it means that though we do have the idea to grow, it doesn't mean that we have the capacity to do that. And in order for us to realize the mission of us growing the projects, we need to make sure that we have enough manpower. So starting from 2023 onwards, we started to recruit as many talents as we can, because we received many people who are interested as well. So we did have that privilege where we can source people in CM as well. And that's when we started to see how many different people bring different ideas, and many of them actually wanted to have different projects in CM as well. And that's when we started to implement new projects. So for example, the research and advocacy projects that we are doing at the moment, it's just within the Charisma movement, but we have our Young Wordsmith competition where we go to Sabah and Sarawak as well. We focus on, essay competition where we feel like, students, especially in the underprivileged community, they don't really have the access to join competition, but we, Charisma, we bring them to them, and they get to win bikes and school bags and everything, and that's the prizes that we feel like is really for the kids. I think this is the kind of impact that we're still working towards, making connection with as many schools, as many people and communities as possible, and making our project even more impactful with collaborating with even higher institutions and hopefully the government. And what we aim to achieve is for our current projects to actually self-sustain, so we can expand it, anywhere else in Malaysia as well. So that's the brief idea of what we have achieved so far. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. Yeah, I agree with that. In order to upscale our project, upscale our impact, we need to collaborate with other people, other team, to ensure that we get more resources, more manpower, and so on. Okay, so can we have a group photo first? Because Isaac will at around 9 o'clock. Okay, everyone, smile. 1, 2. Okay. Okay, Isaac. Okay, we put with the question. Okay. Next, Tirtana. Yeah. Can you share to us the CM's impact and maybe the future plan or the leadership? Yeah.
All right. So I think I did cover a lot about TM's impact, and I think when we're talking about when we're answering other questions as well, like you could see CM's like impact quite visibly, I would say. Whether be PAM or WCP or Inspire Initiative. As I mentioned, we do stay until the end to see if our beneficiaries do actually get the impact that we actually wanted them to get. And I think if you go through our social media, or even if you know any one of us, I think in CM we always do talk about whatever we do, you know. And I think you could see through the impact we do just like that quite visibly if you guys know us and follow us, I would say. And as I mentioned before as well, CM is, we do something that's very sustainable, some long term and stuff. And I think that itself shows most of what we do, I would say, and that itself enhances the effect that we could give to our beneficiaries. So I think if I want to talk more about impact, I think I could just talk a lot more about each of the projects and specify each of the impacts that we do. But I think all in all, it's just that CM is an organization that makes sure that whatever we do it for the beneficiaries, and whatever we do, we make sure that the help that we are trying to provide goes and helps the people that we intend to help. So I think that's the biggest impact you could make in volunteering. About CM future plans, moving on to the future plans, I think personally for me and Sarah combined, I think we would say that as I mentioned before, I just really want CM to be celebrated more. I think CM definitely deserves a lot more than what it has right now, I would say. I think we are known, but I would love CM to be known maybe even worldwide someday, because it would actually enhance the projects that we could do in the future, and also enhance the impact that we could actually make in the future. So my main goal is for CM to be very, very well known in the future. But talking about our particular 15 tenure, I think mainly I just want CM's WCP and Inspire for all the projects that we have in stock to go and be received by the beneficiaries that we have in mind. And as I mentioned, because in a way I think many of us do know about PAM, we do know about WCP, we do know about the projects we do every year, but I do want people to know we are more than the projects we do. We are Charisma Movement, and we are not just someone here to like do projects and advertise and go on, but we are someone here to actually help the people. We are someone here to actually see through the impacts. We are someone that we are here to actually not only to help people but also help ourselves. I would say I think CM provides one of the best personal development, I would say, as well. And the network and the team we have here, we are all together, and I just want to enhance the team dynamic and the relationship we have in our team as well for the future, especially for the 15 tenure. I would like each and every one in my committee to work well together, bond together, and get to know each other, and get to know more and more new people that are coming into CM. It not only helps their personal development and networking, but it also do help us to make more and more impactful projects, I would say. And talking about leadership, I think Sarah and myself, we are both relatively new to president, this leadership position and stuff. Isa is definitely way more experienced. But I think for now we are definitely relying on Isa to help us navigate through everything. Not only Isa, the whole 14 team, presidential team, we're definitely relying on them. They need to babysit us for at least 1 month or maybe a few weeks. But once we've got the hang of it, I think leadership is not only about leading, but also it's about leading together with your members. I would say you need to connect with your members. You need to know your members. It's not only about me giving them instructions, but I should also be able to get instructions from them. It's more about give and take rather than give. All right. So leadership, that's the leadership I see. That's the point of view I have on leadership, I would say. So I think Sarah and I will definitely be someone that's more on the ground, hands-on. I think when we actually had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, we met physically and we were talking about it, and we were actually mentioning how we really, really hands-on with the projects and actually go to the projects and be there for not only our members, not only the beneficiaries, but for ourselves as well. So we just want to be hands-on, and I think that's something good for someone who's in a leadership position, also I would say help us bond with our members as well as bond with our beneficiaries. As we mentioned, connection with our beneficiaries really does matter. And the more you know about them, I think the more you want to do something for them as well. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, Titana, for sharing the insight. Yeah, including the leadership, the process in CM, and so on. Yeah. Okay. Next, Sarah. Okay. Can you share CM future plan and how our attendees here can become the volunteer and charisma movement, both empowering each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
Please share.
sure. Okay, so for CM, like as we're now, so we have Inspire Initiative. So the current Inspire Initiative from 2023-24, which Totana actually can also elaborate more about because she was like the assistant director. Basically, we're having like our first physical event that will be held most likely on the 2nd of December. A bit of promotion here, but it's basically like a mental health workshop for refugee students. And it's going to be partnering with, if I'm not mistaken, Ideas Academy and also Humankind. So all of you guys, if we definitely encourage you to come and see, what Inspire Initiative and CM has done in terms of helping refugees. And in that case, so I think that's something that was really okay. Inspire Initiative, we have a lot of different projects where these like project leads have all kinds of ideas and it's really diverse. So I remember that last time we had this Inspire Initiative project called You Are Not Alone. And something really impactful about it was that it was a 1-year thing where they spread awareness campaigning up to a 1-day like event on the topic of raising awareness for breast and ovarian cancer. And also there was another one about sign language. It was a workshop teaching university students about how, they can like use their hands to kind of like speak with these languages. And I think that right now, as for 24-25, we plan to introduce a new initiative under the education department, which is the Nerds Now Rich Later. So this is a project planning to basically empower secondary students to go through 2 simulation phases, which is number 1, the student life, and number 2 is the career life. So definitely, we are going to be opening recruitment for volunteers. So feel free to join us and you can kind of connect with us. And me and Tertana and Aziat might be there as well. So, because as Tertana mentioned, we really definitely want to be hands-on with everything. So we really hope to meet all of you guys there. And also Pam and WCP, when recruitment starts, you feel free to come and join us. So for press team specifically, we definitely have plans to introduce our own initiatives and ideas because we definitely have and see a lot of different perspectives of things. So example, just a potential would be like letter writing for children to inspire them or elderly people or even helping the pets and all of that. And also, we hopefully plan to continue like the Young Wordsmith competition, which is something that Azad mentioned earlier, which really does let the children experience a competitive edge and also improve their English literacy skills among like primary school students and of like SK Samprita, Turunggran, and yeah, Tumunai. So we plan to like further that and likely do that again. So in my opinion, I think that if the first thing you want to do, if you want to like kind of engage your CM, is to definitely start by volunteering. That's how you can see all the internal operations and really understand what CM does and see whether you think that's a place that perhaps you might want to join in the future as well. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Sarah, Aizat, and Titana. So we will go to next round, which I will collect question from attendees. So attendees, you can write your question in Q&A box. So before waiting for the question from attendees, in the registration form, I also included question what to be asked to the panelists, and I will read it and ask the panelists. Okay, first question. How to prevent activist burnout? Yeah, because when we do, maybe we overwork ourselves in the volunteering and somehow we burn out, and how to prevent that and how or what are the plan CM have for their members? Yeah. Who want to answer that question?
Maybe I can answer for the last time before I make a leave.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. Activist burnout is extremely important. And volunteers are our beneficiaries too. So when we say our beneficiaries, it means that volunteers have to be taken care of as well. Because if volunteers are not there, or like if they are mentally drained, then how are they going to be effectively delivering the modules we have, for example? And the things that we practice in CM to always make sure that we have the leads, or the project leads, we call it, the school leads, for example, and recognize and acknowledge the burnout signs very, very early. Burnout signs can be many things. It can be emotional signs. It can be about, overwhelming disconnection and everything. And physical signs is even more chronic. It's more towards like fatigue, for example, frequent illnesses and everything. So I feel like in designing your own module as well, or in designing the school schedule module and everything, I think we need to ensure that we have breaks in betweens and we have debrief afterwards as well. So when we have our own schedule for on-site volunteering, what we ensure to do is to always have debrief at every. So for example, debrief meaning that volunteers can take a break, for example, about 15 to 20 minutes, and have another session for debrief where how can we improve for the next session, and what are the things that we have yet to cover, for example, and what are the things that, for example, the volunteers can help cover to help out each other, for example. So that's when we know that the volunteers notice or acknowledge that we have each other and we're in this together, and that really prevents the burnout rate in activism. But I think that happens, what we call it, like a short-term volunteering projects. But in long-term volunteering projects, it's really, really hard prevent burnout when it comes to volunteers as well. Because, for example, for Project Anak Malaysia, it is within 2 weeks, and within 2 weeks as well, even though we do have breaks in between, but it is like a everyday daily session with kids and with the teachers as well for the whole 2 weeks. So volunteers will be shouting for the whole 2 weeks. I lost my voice for 1 week this year in Sabah. And I think the reason why was maybe because there was like a little bit of like imbalance between volunteers management as well. So if you do have enough manpower, this is a privilege. So manpower is a privilege. But if you do have that privilege, then try your best to balance it out. So for example, try to allocate, volunteers allocation is important. So try to allocate this balanced number of volunteers in this session, and maybe the rest of the volunteers can take care of the kids and others can conduct the session, and make it rotational. So for example, at the next session, then the rest of the volunteers can take care of the kids, and those who those who actually took care of the kids can present later on as well. So that's how we balance the manpower that we have in our sessions for long-term projects. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Aizat. Anyone to add, Sarah or Tirkana? Okay, I think Aizat have answered the question. Okay, so question from the attendees. How do I engage with a lot of agencies to make collaboration for my project in CM? Who want to answer that? How do I engage with a lot of agencies to make collaboration for my project in CM?
All right.
Okay.
Okay, just to make sure, I believe it's about finding collabs while you're in CM. I believe that you're looking into finding collaboration from other agencies for a project. Okay, that's how I understand. I hope I understand it correctly. But mainly, I mean, CM does have, I mean, we do look for sponsorships, fundraising and stuff. We do look for collaboration and stuff. I think one of the way, as coming from my experience in Inspire Initiative, is that we just send emails back to back. Whether we hear it from them or not, we just send emails. Even as like non-profit organization, whether be CM or any other non-profit organization as well, when especially student-led ones, we usually just send emails. We just like send emails back to back and back to back until we hear from them. Unless we actually have a contact detail of that specific agency or specific corporate or organization, then we will contact them directly or phone call them directly. So there are actually multiple ways, but most of the ways that we mainly use is email. But I think one of the effective way is just to approach them physically. I think I've done it for a couple of my projects before. So technically, because email is something that can be overlooked very easily, and also texting, even phone calls, also someone won't pick up if it's like a number that they don't recognize, right? So one of the ways that I've done before is just go to them physically, actually. So let's say it's because the organizations I work with are somewhere in KL, around KL, the organization that I collaborated with. So in that case, I'll just go to their office straight, actually, and just ask to see depending on which department of the organization that I want to collaborate with, I'll just ask to see one of them. But this only works if the organization or agency is a bit more small scale. Let's say you want to collaborate with like big companies like Maybank or like Public Bank, or any banks, for example. For that, it'll be quite hard for you to actually go in person to engage them. So one of the best way is to just email. Most of the times you need to email back to back, as I mentioned before, to get reply from them. But that's the best way we could actually do if you want to engage other agencies. There's actually no other way other than just emailing, using your phone calls, or just going in person. That's the three ways you have. And I think it also depends on how you word your emails or how you word your text messages or even how you introduce yourself. Because especially for corporate companies, they do look at it. I think if your wordings are too simple also, it's very easy for you to get rejected, or it's easy for you to get looked past on, I would say. So your wording also matters when, asking other agencies to collaborate in your project. And I think you also need to have a proposal in hand so that you can present it to them once they ask, or even when you're sending an email or just going in person, just bring it together with you so that it's easy for you to explain what your project is about or what you're actually doing that you want their collaboration for. So yeah, I hope I answered the question. If not, do ask it back.
Yeah, okay. For attendees, if you feel that answer is not enough, you can ask again. Okay, thank you, Titana. Okay, so for next question, as a student, not remotely from KL or Selangor, how can we join the program and how do we join them? Yeah, maybe, Sarah can answer.
Yeah, I'll answer that. If I'm not mistaken, also, I believe the programs would be in CM. So I'll just like approach that first. I think that for CM, actually, a lot of our projects are not remotely just based in KL. Like, example, Pam, we actually go out to Sabah. So if you wanted to join as a volunteer, then maybe if you had the time, you could kind of like go out there and meet all the different people and like the students there. And we also have WCP where we actually go to Terengganu. So actually, most of our volunteering programs are not solely based in KL alone. But of course, if you're unable to really like move to like different like places, there's definitely a lot of different like organizations and programs that allow you to kind of collaborate or work with them online. So I can give you one example. It's like Tutors in Action. They do like online SPM tuition. So if you wanted to join as a tutor there, then you could perhaps, engage with them and find out more about them before, perhaps volunteering and teaching the children. So I think that there's definitely a lot of ways to go about volunteering, even if you're not based in KL alone. Or if you really wanted to take the initiative to do something, you could perhaps have an idea of your own and then start on like something that you want, like perhaps an idea, like if you want to impact a lot of people or impact like children. And if they're based in somewhere else, maybe you could start by fundraising first and then make your one way down their trip to like see them. And I think it also definitely does depend on the position, because like for CM, we have a lot of different like people that are not just based in Malaysia. So we have in like the UK, US, and there's so many different like countries. So it does depend on your position and also like what type of impact that you want to create. So impact can definitely be created online as well, because a lot of work that we do besides that, like communication wise, is usually done online in the first place, and then we only go on site to do it physically. So you can definitely contribute.
Okay, so your location, wherever you are, you can contribute to the society. Okay, so next question. What are the biggest challenges in your volunteering experience? Maybe any one of you want to answer that? What is your biggest challenges that you face?
Okay, I can go first. I don't
Yeah.
think I had a lot of different challenges, but for one, like something that, because actually I'm quite new to CM, like as much as I've learned a lot about it, I haven't had a lot of experiences in CM yet, which is something that I'm really excited to do. But outside of CM, definitely one thing I did witness was the language barrier, because when I was in like volunteering in Teach for Malaysia, so basically all the children there speak in Malay, and although I did do Malay for like quite a long time when I was younger, there was one point in which we just stopped completely learning Malay in schools. And outside of school, I didn't really get the time to kind of practice the language. So when I was assigned to be one of the maths tutors, I thought that I could just teach them maths, but like, with some type of like Malay words. But that was not actually the case because all of them were mainly only speaking in Malay. So for me, something that was quite difficult was learning how to actually connect and communicate with them, because I believe that something that's super important is having a good relationship with those that you want to work with or those that you want to help. And so something that I did was definitely throughout the entire 10-week program, I started watching like Malay shows. I talked to different people because my dad actually is really good at Malay. So I actually like tried to practice with him as well. And another thing was that all the maths content was also in Malay. So the textbooks, everything was in a different language that although I did know, I wasn't as familiar with. So actually during like the nights before each session, which happened on Saturday, I would actually revise and learn every single material, like word to word, and then create the worksheets based on what I've learned. And so that's something that was definitely a challenge at first. I found it really difficult to kind of, because normally for me, I speak with like, example, like those people in like English. So yeah, it was definitely really new to me, but I realized that if you show them and if you really just try to get to know them in some way or another, you will definitely be able to connect with them, even if they don't speak the same exact language as you. So that was definitely one of my challenges going into volunteering as well. And another thing was that when I visited orphanage, like sometimes a lot of the children there already done the thing that so many people have done, like playing games or like dancing. So I think a lot of them actually thought that at first it was quite boring to them because they were always having to do the same thing over and over again. So how my team and I overcame this challenge was that we decided to go really spontaneously with these. Instead of like having like following an exact plan, which was like dancing and then playing this certain game, we decided to play games that perhaps they haven't played before. So I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of like Pepsi Cola, but it was something that really allowed us to actually interact with each child there. So we actually got to like, it's basically supposed to like step on the other person's foot. And like, that's how we basically like laughed. And that's how I got to actually know a lot of them and their actual backgrounds. Because before that, when we were dancing with them, they were basically just following us. We weren't really like connecting in terms of like the flow together. But as soon as we started really doing things where we were truly involved in all the games and activities that we did, was where we actually got to, see them really feel happy. And it was really a really great feeling to me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for sharing. Okay, next, Tirtana, can you share your biggest challenges and how you overcome it?
All right. Okay. It might be repetitive, but language barrier is also something I struggle with. But since Sarah touched on it already, but I'll try to touch on something else. So I think another thing is also it comes about getting to know people and actually working with people. I'm not the best people's person, I would say. I like to get to know people. I like to get to know their mindset or how they think and stuff like that. Because I mean psychology students, I just like to see what people think about certain topics because it's really intriguing to me what other people think about some topics that I think differently. But I'm also I had social anxiety before. I did even now I do have it a bit and I'm very, very shy. I mean, I'm just talking or yapping like this because online, if you see me in physically, I'll be very quiet for first few hours and then I will start talking if I get to know you and stuff like that. But in a big crowd, especially when it comes to volunteering, you need to work with a lot of kinds of people. And also sometimes the crowd you work with are a lot. I've worked with 80 people, even 100 plus volunteers. And those things are really kind of stressful for me because I'm just trying to hide from people. I'm just I just don't want people to come and talk to me or anything because I'm very shy. Back then especially I was very, very shy. I would stick together with my friends or even even in CM I would just when I met CM members last year in 2023, I was just sticking together with the friend that I knew in CM. And I didn't talk much to the other people until they actually started talking and then I started mingling and stuff. But yeah, social anxiety was something that I really struggled a lot. And when it comes to volunteering where you need to talk with people, engage with people, and also in a leadership position or as a committee, you also need to engage with stakeholders. And those kind of things really scare me a lot. Used to scare me. Now I'm doing really better. And one of the way I overcame it is just, I think it can be simply put as you scared. But what I actually just did that I just try to really understand what I'm actually doing it for as well. So I would, another thing is that I will have my friend or someone that I trust to be with me, like, so that I could actually talk, or I could actually pitch my ideas, or I could actually voice out whatever concerns I have regarding the volunteering I'm doing. So I think that really gave me a lot of comfort. I became in being in the center and talking to people, and I also got used to it, I would say. And I think it's thanks to my friends, as well as I think it also helped me grow my confidence. And also thanks to me that I was able to grow my confidence, because I was able to get out of my comfort zone and actually go and talk to people. And I think also now it also, especially as like incoming president for CM, I think it also helps me to like promote CM more, and also go and talk to people about CM. Not only that, but also talk to our committee. And as a president, you also need to like hold meetings, you need to organize meetings and stuff. I think it also helps me a lot with that. So yeah, the thing I had to overcome is social anxiety other than my language barrier.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Tirtana. So yeah, for me also, I have a language barrier that I need to overcome. When yeah, if with Malay speaking, yeah, I can converse and maybe exchange information, but maybe with other language, I have some difficulty that I need to work on it and improve over time. Okay. Okay, next question. Okay, how do we manage time? Because most of the volunteer came from youth age group. So how do we manage time so that we can fulfill our responsibility to our family, to our academic, and to our volunteer? Okay, who want to answer this question?
I think I'll go first.
Okay.
For managing time, I started it when like I had peak academic period actually. Like I started actively volunteering, and during those time actually it's more like uh how you it also depends on your habits, I would say, because personally I'll just do, if I have any homeworks, if I have any assignments, I'll just do it earlier, in a way, I would say, because most of the organizational work I always do it at night. And I think this might be bad for me to sharing it, but I do stay up pretty late to do my works, especially for NGOs. I do stay up like around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I do that. It's not very healthy. People shouldn't do that. You guys shouldn't do that. But yeah, that's one way that I did. But mainly a way that I coped up with that. I do take time away from the organizations. Even like for example, as Inspire Initiative Director, I was having exams during the time I joined CM and stuff. And during those time, I'll just tell my teammates that I'm having exams, and I'll take break for like a couple of weeks or even like a month time. I would just tell them. I think first thing is communicating with your team about it. And you do need to take break. You don't need to like commit yourself 24 hours to the organization. As long as you get your work done, it's just that. But let's say your work is a lot from the organization as well, just do feel free to tell your team members or peers, even in CM, right? Let's say you were to join as a volunteer or even next tenure or anything, you can always feel free to tell our team, because as I mentioned, our team is very, very like, all the people here are very, very good, and they're always welcome to everyone who's new as well. So you can just tell them that you're struggling or you need some time off CM, and we will always be happy to give you the time off. I think not only in CM, a lot of other organizations also do practice this. You can, even NGOs, you can tell them that you need some time, because I mean, NGOs, it's volunteering work. We can't really tell you to do your work, we can't really tell you you need to do your work, but it's something you need to do voluntarily. So this is where responsibility comes. You need to be responsible for your own work and for your own academics as well. As long as you are responsible, I think you should know which one to prioritize when. So when you're having exams, you prioritize that, and when you're having event and CM, you prioritize that. But let's say if they're colliding, you just tell your members that you prioritize your exam more, because you should prioritize your exam more. So that's something about time management that I would say lah. Just don't follow my staying up late idea. That's not good.
Okay, thank you, Titana. Yeah, time management is a great skill even after we work in the career and in our future life phase of. Okay, next, Sarah, can you share the tips on time management?
Okay, yeah, so definitely I have to agree with Tatiana on that, like especially like night work. Most of the like things, the work that I do at night that relates to organizations are definitely like at the later hours after I finish like school. So definitely something that I realized I had to start doing when I started involving myself in more different organizations is creating a priority list. So I basically had to kind of rank what I wanted to put my commitment and time into. So of course, as I'm taking A levels, the workload is really, really heavy. I have like assessments every week. And so something that I really think is really useful to me as a student is having a Google Calendar. So I'll always make sure to bookmark like all my events and like things that I have. And so that I'll basically like look through the entire week to see what I have first and then kind of plan out, example, what studying I'm gonna do today. And tomorrow night, if I have a meeting, then I'll make sure to study earlier or even in school during like my free periods and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that managing time wise, I would say it's definitely like what Tertana said, to communicate with them, to tell them that you're involved in exams, because I think a lot of people don't really like know what is going on until you really explain to them. So if I'm having like my exams or like my mocks or something, then I'll tell her and the entire team like, okay, like this is what I'm having right now. So I apologize if I may not be as active during this period. And then after, I'll make sure to catch up on what I've missed after I finish like my exams and all of that. But it's also about like, you can't, I feel like it's not really like possible to just like completely MIA during that time. You should be able to, example, maybe tell yourself during this week, since I have my exams, I'll spend like 3 hours this week committing to CM and making sure that I'm following up with everything that I need to do before I go on to study and put all my other hours there. So definitely time management, and also notes. I believe the notes app is a super good app. It's like a common app, but for me, it has this like checklist thing where each day I'll write down the few tasks that I need to do, and then I'll tick it off once I'm done. And they're always ranked based on what I need to do first and what I need to do last. So sometimes I don't do the last activity or like the last task, but I'll always make sure to do the first few. So that's how I basically balance my time.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So you hear that? You guys hear that? So yeah, you can use good apps and other tools to improve our skill on time management. Okay, next question. What are the best ways for beginners to find volunteer opportunities in their local community? Yeah.
Okay, I think I
Okay.
go first. Mainly I think most of the times I find opportunities through Instagram actually. So as long as you have Instagram, you can definitely find a lot of opportunities. I would say I think my feed do have a lot of NGOs and stuff. But I think Instagram is one of the best way you could just go search for organizations. I would say usually I just go because as I know CM, I know a couple of organizations, right? Instagram do suggest me other organizations and opportunities that I can find. But let's say you're not in that side of Instagram, you can always go to Google and just search for opportunities there as well. Because in Google also there's an organization, social enterprise called NGO Hub actually. And NGO Hub actually have a lot of NGOs registered under them. And I think I'm actually interning there. It's not a promotion, guys, but I do use NGO Hub to find organizations. But you could go to their page and they do have a lot of organizations listed there, and you could actually go and search up those organizations listed there and opportunities in that particular organizations as well. That's one way that you could try out. Another way is actually asking a friend. Easy as that. Just ask us. Just ask me or Sarah if you guys know us. Just ask us. I do know a couple of them. Sarah knows a couple of them. I think if you know anyone from CM, or even like if you're joining this session right now, right, and you know friends here, you know someone here that you think might know any other organizations, I think asking them is one of the best way. And I think another way is actually if you can see through Instagram, again Instagram or any social media, there'll be actually booths. NGOs actually open booths in universities, or even will have booths in like I think one of the common booths I've seen is in UM. Even in UM, they do have a lot of booths, and a lot of universities they will have booths. Not only universities, also like if you go for any education related events or anything, right, you can find a lot of organizations booth there as well. So you can find a lot of contacts from there as well. So I think that these are like some of the ways you can find opportunities. And of course, Google is can be your best friend. So can always just go search there. And of course can search CM there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Tizana. Yeah, Google is your best friend, and yeah, okay. Next, Sarah, any tips for beginners to finding volunteer opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. Chachana basically said the bulk of it, but I definitely agree with all points, especially Google. Because so my first ever organization that I joined was AMU. Just by the way, AMU is like a really, really beautiful, just like CM is. Like I feel like both organizations are truly like families, like second families to me. So yeah, definitely please consider joining. But besides that, so I actually read an article about this girl getting into this university, and one of the organizations she was in was actually AMU, and she did talk a bit about her experience there, which was on Google. And that's basically what inspired me to go on Instagram and find out more about AMU. Definitely, Instagram is a place where you find a lot of different opportunities. But also, another thing to build up on Tortana's point is that when you go to a lot of different events, the booths there, most of the time, have like a lot of volunteering opportunities. So CM was actually recently at the AMU Summit 2024. So normally in like these events, we have a lot of different like opportunities and places and people that will actually kind of give you the chance to venture out. And so yeah, definitely Instagram and all of that. But also like something that I would recommend is Unila. So especially if you're a student, Unila has a lot of different opportunities, not just volunteering, but also events itself. So yeah. And then not just that, I think you can always kickstart by volunteering at places that you might have heard of before. So for instance, like Kachara Soup Kitchen, where you can, example, give out food to the homeless, or go around the street of KL to like give out food at night, and also pause. So it's basically not really about, I feel like there's so many different places, there's so many different things that could really use your help. So as long as you just search it up or make the initiative to find out more about a certain organization or thing, you will definitely find an opportunity. And whatever it is, it will lead you to where you're meant to help out or meant to be. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So there is also a question about maybe this person doesn't want to join any organization that related to volunteering, but still they want to volunteer themselves. Maybe they want to make their initiative, their project, their own. So how they want to find a sponsor? How for them? What is the way for them to gain resources, money to fund a project instead of joining other volunteering organization?
I think I can touch a bit more about this. Although, like, I definitely started something from school. Something that I believe is really important when you want to start your own project is having a group of people that have the same passion and vision as you. Because as much as you can do things alone, you definitely do need that support and backbone from people who constantly will motivate you during hard times. So, definitely, first thing you do is to find a group of maybe a group of people or at least one friend that will be interested in doing the same thing as you. So if you, example, want to start an event for like an animals or something like that, then basically you start by planning out what your outline is. So how long do you want this impact or initiative to take place for, like example, the 1 year program thing? So do you want to spread awareness for 1 year and then have a 1 day workshop at the end or something like that? Then definitely, like Trishana mentioned earlier, and also what we talked about is definitely emailing a lot of corporates, because corporates definite corporates always have the passion and to see the like value in your project. When you email them is when they want to really help out, because a lot of them do like CSR initiatives, right? So you can definitely just keep reaching out to them. Something that is really useful is to keep blasting emails. So definitely blast a lot of people that you know. And also, if you want to get a lot of people to help you out with this, you could definitely try LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of people that, you know, have a lot of passion, and they do a lot of different like programs and stuff like that. So you don't have to join an organization. You can definitely start something from yourself. So for my school, we started this project that wants to help people with tremors and Parkinson's. So we're creating this design that will ergonomically help them with, you know, drinking, and also we want to do something about eating as well. So definitely, I think besides everything, I'll just summarize it in one point. You need a group of people that will do it with you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, a good people is the foundation of impactful volunteering. So, Tirtana, would you mind to
Alright.
share? Yeah.
Alright. I think Sarah did mention most of the good points I would say. And I think another thing is like proposal for your project. I think that's pretty important. You need to know why you're doing the project, what you're doing the project for. You need to know you don't need like to finalize everything, but you do need to know your objectives. Who are your beneficiaries? What are you actually trying to do? You don't need a documentation of these to actually go and approach the corporate or any organizations that you think might help you in running the program and giving you the resources. Yes, there are also grants. Actually, you could apply for grants. There are actually a lot of grants for nonprofit organization, but even projects that you want to initiate yourself, individual projects, there are also grants for that. Again, you can always search it up in Google, or I mean, if you know us, you can always ask us, so we could tell you grants and stuff. But yeah, grants is actually one of the good ways you can actually get monetary resources, I would say, for your project. But there are also programs, not only grants, there are programs. There are some organizations that provide programs and grants together for individuals who wants to do their own projects. So you can always just apply. I think these are also comes into opportunities. You're not actually part of the organization, but you're actually just getting this opportunity from them because those organizations are doing it. So one thing is their own CSR, but another thing is that they are doing it so they could also impact youths, mainly youths, and also individuals who wants to impact others. So you can always search out for organizations like that who are doing these projects or giving out these grants for you to apply. But let's say you could into them or you couldn't get in touch with those organizations. I think another way is collaborations. Collaborations, technically you're part of the organization, but you're collaborating with an organization. Even with CM, we do work with a lot of other individual parties who wants to collaborate with them. We do get emails regarding collaborations from individuals and stuff. And we are always happy to help as long as we think that your project is impactful and that we could do something for your project. Technically, let's say, for example, if you want to collaborate with CM, right, you can always send us an email and we will look through your proposal, your project proposal, your project impact and everything. And we would have a discussion with you on what you want to do with your project and stuff. And technically, when let's say we approve the collaboration, right, you're not actually part of CM, but you're just collaborating with us for that particular project. So for that, I think it helps you to start up your project first. And after that, you can decide to do collaboration with other organizations or even do it individually when your project is established enough for you to do it individually. So yeah, to round it up, yeah, grants, projects, programs that you can apply for and also collaborations. I would say these three would be helpful for you if you want to do your project individually.
Just to add on to a point, right? I think that a few different platforms you guys can look at is Youth Leadership Academy. So every year they basically allow individuals to start their own social enterprise. And after they basically have that program, then they're basically quite independent to do what they want. And also grants, like she mentioned, I think Wisely and also UNICEF has given a lot of opportunities to students and people who really want to start impactful projects.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Tirtana and Sarah, once again for the input. Yeah, so grants, proposal, collaboration, people, all of this is needed to make impactful volunteering. Okay, so if audience have any question, you can put in the Q&A section. Also, yeah, what's your advice to new volunteer or one who want to start journey in volunteering? Your advice, yeah.
Okay, I think when I was starting it, I actually started it together with friends. I think it really helped me when you start together with friends as a new volunteer because it helps you to just get comfortable in the environment a bit, I would say, and get used to it together with your friends. And it's also fun if you do it with your friends, depending on what you actually do in the volunteering work. But usually is very fun to do it with your friend. When I was in college, I used to go to a lot of volunteering works together with my friends. I used to lead volunteering works together with my friend, and it's actually fun because when your friends are there, you feel comfortable, but you also are capable of making new friends over there as well. Because when you have a comfortable environment, I think it's a lot easier for you to meet new people, make new friends. I think it will help you to comfortably do your work there and also enjoy it. I would say first, as a new person, I would say try to enjoy the volunteering work that you're doing. Don't do it just for the sake of, like, as I mentioned before, don't just do it just for volunteering hours or certificates. Try to enjoy what you actually do. And also, as we mentioned this before as well, connection with the beneficiary actually matters as well. Connect with the beneficiaries, connect with the people that you're working with there. Let's say you're working on environment, then connect with the plants. It also helps. And let's say you're working with wildlife, animals, right? And I mean, unless you are scared of animals, but you can always go connect with the animals as well. They're very friendly and stuff. Just enjoy what you do. I think that's helped me a lot. From my point of view, that's a good way for you to start volunteering. I would say enjoy what you do. And after that, moving forward, then you can actually try to find out if you actually like what you're doing. After like doing it, after actually knowing about the volunteer, right? Just don't, as I mentioned, while you're enjoying, try to also understand the work you're doing. Try to also know what you're actually doing, because that helps you to get to know the work you're actually doing and also understand why you're doing that work. And I think these 2 points help you to identify whether you want to continue doing the volunteering or not. And if you want to continue, you can continue. If you don't want to continue after that, you're always free to like not to continue as well. But yeah, first thing, enjoy. Second thing, try to understand people there, understand yourself, whether you want to do it or not moving forward. So yeah, that's what I would say would be helpful as a new volunteer lah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Tana. Sorry. Okay. Okay, next, Sarah, can you give some advice?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I think first of all, definitely do it with your friends. But also, if you ever have this situation where perhaps you don't really know who to go with, then I would advise you to not be afraid to step out of your shell. Don't be scared to pursue something new. So for me, a lot of the volunteering initiatives that I started off with was by starting it myself, or like going to these things by my own. And that's when I really met a lot of different people that I eventually got to go to these things with. So example, like for programs that you want to volunteer with, most of the time, example like tutoring, they would pair you up with someone else, and that other person would usually have the same interest as you or want to teach the same subject as you, and that's how you basically like connect with them and get to know them. So although like it would be really nice to do it with your friends, which I definitely recommend you doing as your first timer, if you don't have the chance to, never be afraid to try, even if you don't have anyone to do it with. So that's really my main piece of advice. I think it's also about stepping out of your comfort zone and making the initiative to talk to others. Because most of the time, a lot of people, as you know, if they're already volunteering, if they already have this vision to help others, I'm sure that I would like to think that they already have like they're nice people, they have a nice, good, kind heart. And so I'm sure that they would be like interested in like getting to know you as well. So that's how you kind of start and venture out. So yeah. And also, as a beginner, I think I would tell you to try a lot of different places. Like if you don't know who you really want to help in the first place, then you can go to like Kachara, you can go to like Pause, like I've mentioned these before, but you can try so many different places and really see what makes you feel like you love truly what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Okay, so I have answered all questions from attendees. Okay, I will, before we wrap up our session, I have some exciting news to share to all of of you. Tomorrow, we will be hosting together with MCCHR, together with AdPen, we'll be hosting the Create for Justice Winners exhibition at KL Bar. The event is at KL Bar Auditorium near Masjid Jamek at 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. This is an incredible chance to experience thought-provoking that celebrate justice and creativity. So in the event, we have exhibition of digital media and opinion piece writing by youth, age 18 until 25. And then we also have a panel discussion. Yeah, panel discussion. Youth title Youth Advocacy and the Future of Justice. So to all of the attendees and also speakers, we would love for you to be part of it. Whether you want to volunteer to help us, or you also can come as a participant to enjoy the session, to enjoy the art, to enjoy the panel discussion. So if you're interested in volunteering, my colleague Shalini will drop a phone number in the chat box for you to reach out the person. Also, this is your chance to apply everything that our panelists have shared and their input about meaningful volunteering, about impactful, about effective, about connecting with people. Or if you are not ready to become volunteer for our event, you can just come, connect, and yeah, enjoy the session. So join us tomorrow at KL Bar and let's let's meet there. Whether you part as a part of a team or the audience. So yeah, as we approach the end of our session, I would like to thank our wonderful panelists here, Sarah, Tirtana, and Aizat. He will watch the recording after this for sharing their experience, stories, and all the valuable insight for us to apply to. Okay, to all audience, attendees, thank you so much for attending tonight. And we look forward to seeing you at future event or at, yeah, that's all from me. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you very much for listening as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Also, the recording, we will upload it into YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys can watch that. Okay. Bye.
All right.
Good night.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Sleep well, guys. Don't stay up late. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.